The screaming started with a pop from the engine. It was this sharp little gunshot under the hood, and then a hiss, and then this smell like burnt plastic and hot metal flooding the car. We lurched to a stop halfway up some forest road. No signal, car hood smoking like it hated us, and finally got its chance to quit. Matt swore, slammed the steering wheel, said it was fine this morning, like the car gave shit what it used to be. 4 of us, 3 tents, 1 cooler. We'd done this kind of weekend trip a bunch of times. Same jokes, same cheap beer, same playlists. It felt safe because it was boring. We'd laugh about almost running out of gas, about getting lost, but it always ended with us in some clearing, passing a bottle around a fire. That familiarity is why we didn't turn around when the road changed from cracked asphalt to thin gray dirt, when the trees started leaning in like they wanted to listen. It felt fixable until Matt stepped on loose gravel and snapped his ankle sideways. 1 second, he hopped out of the driver's seat, all pissed off. Next second, he slipped on the slope by the ditch. I remember the crunch more than his scream. Bone didn't poke out, but it tried. His foot dangled at this angled feet. Don't go. I almost puked. Jay tried to play medic, said he watched a video once, tried to straighten it. Matt nearly bit through his tongue. The way he yelled, I hear that sound when I fall asleep sometimes. We argued about staying with him or hiking for bars. Real helpful argument too. No plan, just blame. Matt wanted us to leave him and go find signal. Jake said no one stays alone on a dark road with a busted leg. Emma kept saying we should all walk down together and just leave the car. I kept checking my phone like the bars would magically appear if I glared hard enough. Sun sank while we shouted. The light went from gold to that dirty blue where you can't see depth anymore, just shapes. The temperature dropped fast and the forest got loud in that weird way. Every twig snap sounded like a step, every bug like a whisper. I started imagining some hunter's truck rolling up or some ranger asking why we blocked the road. I didn't imagine what we actually got. In the end, I went uphill with Emma, left Matt and Jake at the car. That's the part my brain keeps replaying, like maybe if we chose downhill instead, or if I said I'd stay with Matt. Everything shifts a few inches and no one dies. Jake pushed the flashlight into my hand and said they'd stay put, that he'd wrap the ankle and keep Matt awake. I remember he tried to sound tough about it, and just sounded tired. Emma didn't talk at first. We just climbed. Road kept winding, trees closing in. Every few minutes I'd hold my phone up, walk in circles, try airplane mode on and off like some idiot ritual. Nothing. At some point we stopped seeing the sky. Just branches. The air felt thicker up there. Emma finally snapped and asked why the hell I'd trusted Matt's shortcut. Anyway, like I made the map. I snapped back that she said yes to, that she could have refused. We kept trading little jabs because it was easier to be mad at each other than scared of being stuck. We weren't gone an hour. That's what kills me. Less than an episode of some shitty show I fall asleep to. We gave up on the road, narrowed to where the brush scraped both arms at once and my legs burned. I said we should turn back, try downhill instead, maybe flag someone, maybe even just sleep in the car and deal with it in the morning. Emma didn't like the idea of going back in the dark, but staying up there was worse. So we turned around. On the way back, we saw the headlights first. Not ours. Wrong color, wrong angle. They cut through the trees in this dirty yellow, too high off the ground. My stomach dropped before my brain caught up. Not our car. A lifted truck idled by it, doors open, country music rattling the trees. That tinny radio sound you hear at gas stations at 2 a.m. The rhythm of it felt wrong, too upbeat for the scene it lit up. We killed our headlamps and crawled closer. Gravel dug into my knees, wet leaves soaked my jeans, but I didn't feel any of it then. The truck's exhaust drifted low and thick, made my eyes sting. I tasted oil in my throat. 2 guys stood over Matt. I could tell which one was Matt only because of the way he clutched his leg and tried to push himself back with his elbows. The ankle was twice the size it should be now, sock dark with blood where the skin had split. One poked his bad leg with a boot, just tapped the side of his foot, almost casual, then pressed down. Matt's scream didn't sound human. High and thin, like it came from a damaged speaker. The other swung a tire iron down on the hood again and again like it owed him money. Every hit made the whole car jump. Headlights flickered. I kept waiting for someone to step out of the trees and yell for it to be some fucked up prank. No one did. Jake lay face down in the gravel, not moving. At first my brain went, okay, he's playing dead, he's smart, he's waiting. But even from a distance I could see the weird angle of his arm, the spread of dark beneath his chest. Matt begged. I heard him promise his watch, his wallet, anything. His voice broke on the word please over and over. I never heard him beg anyone for anything. Even when he got pulled over once, he argued. Now he just sounded small. One guy laughed and told him they didn't want his shit, they wanted time. The way he said it made the hairs on my arms stand up, like he was saying a religious word, like amen or salvation. I couldn't see his face clearly, just a cap and beard in the shape of teeth when he grinned. Emma grabbed my wrist so hard her nails broke skin. I felt each finger dig in, felt the tremor in her hand. I wanted to move. I wanted to charge in and swing the flashlight and do something heroic and stupid, but my legs locked. I kept thinking, they have a tire iron, probably more, maybe a gun in the truck, maybe two. If we rush them, we die too. That's what I tell myself anyway. That I made a choice, not just froze. The guy with the tire iron finally stopped hitting the car and started dragging it along the side, carving long metal screams down the doors. The other one knelt by Matt and said something I couldn't hear, real soft. Matt shook his head so fast I thought he'd snap his neck next. The guy slapped him once, a quick crack across the face, then looked around like he was listening for something in the woods. That's when I realized we were upwind. If they heard us breathing, smelled us, that was it. Emma's breath hitched. I slapped my hand over her mouth without thinking. She bit me, not on purpose, just fear. It grounded me enough to move. We backed away, left our gear, left our friends. Every step felt like betrayal happening in real time. My backpack slipped off my shoulder and I let it fall. The cooler was still by the back wheel, lid open, beers glinting in the truck's white light. We'd planned to drink those around fire. We left them. I still hate myself for that. We didn't run it first. We slid along the ditch, crouched, hands in mud, making little animal noises we didn't hear because all we could hear was Matt. We didn't see what they did to him. At some point, his screams changed into these raw sobbing gasps, and then the truck revved, drowning him out, and we used that noise to turn and bolt. Branches whipped my face. I stopped trying to be quiet. Emma cursed at me, at herself, at Matt, at the fucking world. Part of me wanted her to shut up so they wouldn't hear. Part of me needed the sound of her voice, so I knew I wasn't alone. We got lost almost immediately. The road curved one way. Our panic took us the other. We crashed through brush, slid down some embankment, landed in cold water up to our shins. Emma twisted her knee and went down and tried to get up again, teeth clenched. I almost told her to leave me and go alone because I slowed her down, but the words caught in my throat. We deserved to be scared together. At some point, the truck's engine faded behind us. I kept expecting to see those headlights swing around the trees, sweep over us, pin us like deer on a highway. They never did. We stumbled onto the road again a while later, lower down, closer to the main highway. I only knew because finally my phone buzzed with random old notifications, the bars flickering in and out. I tried to dial 911 with wet, shaking hands. I kept hitting the wrong buttons. Emma ended up grabbing it from me and doing it herself. We found a mile marker, some tired little green sign, and clung to it like a life raft. When the cops finally rolled up, lights off, they looked more annoyed than alarmed. Two kids, mud-soaked and sobbing on the roadside, didn't scream emergency to them the way it did to us, I guess. We tried to explain. They kept asking if we'd been drinking, if we took anything, while we left our friends. The more I tried to describe the men, the less real I sounded. Big truck could mean anybody out there. Beard, cap, boots described half the county. When I mentioned the word time, the way the guy said it, the cop just stared at me like I'd left out crucial context. Like maybe we went there to buy drugs, and shit went bad. They drove us back up the road, slow, windows cracked. By then, everything was quiet. No truck, no music, no screaming. Just Matt's car, sitting crooked, one headlight dead, hood crumpled like a crushed can. No Matt, no Hake, blood on the gravel, dark and tacky. Drag marks leading into the trees that the cops said were probably from an animal. I remember Emma grabbing my arm and trying to pull me toward the drag marks, like we could just follow them and fix everything. One of the cops blocked her with his arm, told us to get back in the cruiser. I wanted to punch him. I wanted him to go into the trees with his gun drawn and bring them back like a hero in a movie. Instead, he called in, put up tape, started talking about search teams like this was a TV procedural. Cops found the car stripped days later, said animals did the rest. They never found the truck, or the men, or Jake. The first rock hit the tent right above my head. Not huge, but heavy enough to bow the fabric and make my heart jump into my throat. I thought it was pine cones until the second one bounced off in the exact same spot. For a second, I just lay there, staring at that sagging patch of fabric like it might dent again. My brain tried to slide it into something normal. Cones, wind, some squirrel dropping shit. Anything except what it clearly was, something out there, aiming. We were alone on that ridge. Last mark site was a mile back. No other fires, no other cars. Forest had gone dead quiet an hour earlier, like someone hit mute. It hadn't been gradual either. 1 minute we had crickets, something moving around in the bushes, my brother bitching about his blister, the usual. Next minute, nothing. The kind of silence that doesn't feel empty, it feels crowded. Like every sound got scared away at the same time. I remember trying to act like it was fine. I poked at the fire, joked that we'd finally found the premium campsite the map promised. My brother laughed, but only with his mouth. His shoulders stayed tight. We both saw the same thing when we hiked up. No other footprints in the soft dirt, no fresh tire tracks on the road. Just ours, like we'd walked into blank paper. We ate, we cleaned up like good little leave, no trace assholes, and we climbed into the tent earlier than we'd admit. The second that zipper shut, I realized how thin that nylon really was. How stupid it was to lie there in bright-colored plastic in the middle of thousands of acres of dark. Every little creak outside sounded like it leaned closer. I unzipped the fly a few inches. Cold air knifed in. Fire still glowed, but the tree line was just a black wall. Another rock flicked out of that wall and skidded through the ashes. Too hard, too accurate. The fire huffed and spit sparks. I felt my face go hot with that weird defensive anger you get when you're scared and don't want to be. I hissed at my brother to knock it off. I told him it wasn't funny, that my head was right there. He cursed back from his sleeping bag. He thought I was doing it. That pissed me off even more. I swore on our dead dog I hadn't thrown anything. He swore right back on our dad's grave. We're not religious, but we don't throw those around. We argued in whispers, hissed insults, old shit from years ago, both of us trying to outrun the fact that rocks were hitting our tent and neither of us was throwing them. He said I always freak out in the woods, that I'm a suburbs camper who likes gear more than dirt. I told him he never takes anything seriously, that he'd probably laugh while a bear chewed his legs off. It was petty and stupid and felt better than just lying there listening. We shut up when something heavy walked behind my head. Slow, deliberate. You feel it through the ground before you hear it. The soil under my pad trembled, this dull pressure that rolled under my skull, step by step. Not squirrel light, not deer quick. Each step landed like it owned the place, like it knew exactly where we were. I held my breath, so hard my chest hurt. My brother went dead quiet too. I could tell he'd pulled his arms in, that same way he used to hide in bed when we were kids and mom and dad fought downstairs. I could hear him not moving. Breathing started next. Not animal snuffling. Long, steady pulls, inches from a nylon, tracking us as we held still and tried not to exist. You know when someone stands behind you in line and gets too close? That prickling between your shoulder blades? It was that multiplied by 10, wrapped around us on all sides. It moved along the wall of the tent, slow, like it was reading us through the fabric. The breath had weight. Warmth seeped in through the cold air, this humid fog that smelled wrong. Not rot, not animal, not human. Just wrong. Like the smell you get when you open a house that's been closed up for years. Stale and familiar and off. I wanted to say something tough, but my tongue stuck to the roof of my mouth. And then it said my name. Not close, not approximate. Perfectly. My full name, the way my mother only used it when she was pissed. Same cadence, same accent. It didn't just copy her, it dragged old anger with it. All those times she'd stand at the bottom of the stairs and yell that name because I'd forgotten to take the trash out or left a mess. That same tone, like I'd already disappointed it. It asked if I was still pretending you can camp. That almost broke me. No one knows she said that. First time I tried camping alone at 17, I came back after one night because something kept snapping branches outside my cheap Walmart tent. She laughed and said exactly that. Still pretending you can camp? I never told anybody that because it stung, but the voice at our tent knew. My brother's hand clamped over my mouth. He heard it too. I felt his fingers shaking. That's when the fear shifted from something's out there to whatever's out there knows us. Not just our names, the sore spots. The thing stayed silent for a while after that. Just that slow breathing and the creak of weight in the dirt. I lay there, counting seconds in my head to keep from sobbing. 50, 100, I lost track. Every tiny movement felt loud, so I stopped moving at all. My hip burned, my legs went numb, but I didn't shift. My brother's hand never left my face. It started to hurt, but I didn't push it away. I needed the pressure, proof he was real. Every so often, something small tapped the tent, like a fingertip. Not a full throw, just a test. Tap near my shoulder. Tap above his feet. Tap, tap, like it was mapping where we ended and the empty nylon began. Each tap made the hairs on my arms stand up. At some point, the breathing shifted sides. No footsteps, just suddenly on the other side of me, then near my brother's head, then by the door. Like it slid, not walked. I prayed for normal sound. Anything, an owl, a plane, a car door a mile away. Nothing. The forest stayed locked. My mind went through every explanation it could come up with. Some asshole out here messing with us. Some tweaker from a hidden camp. A ranger who lost it. Even a bear, somehow, copying my mom's voice. Each idea made less sense than the last. None of them could explain how it said that line. None of them could explain how it knew the exact way she dragged out my middle name when she'd had enough of me. At some point, I realized I could hear both my heartbeat and my brother's. They didn't sync. They hammered against the same air, out of time, like two clocks ticking in different rhythms. It made me feel crazy. There we were, grown men, frozen in matching mummy bags like kids hiding from the boogeyman, while something outside treated our fear like a toy. I thought about unzipping the tent and bolting for the car. Then I pictured standing up, silhouetted against the nylon, and something tall and wrong waiting just beyond my line of sight. I stayed down. Cowardice kept me alive, or at least that's what I tell myself. Time stretched until it stopped feeling like night. It felt like forever. I must have blinked 1,000 times and saw nothing but that sloping roof over my face, the faint glow of the dying fire bleeding through. Once, my brother whispered my name, just a dry scrape in his throat, and I knew he was factoring whether he'd outrun me if it came in. That pissed me off in this petty, familiar way. We'd spent our whole lives competing, fighting, running separate directions. Now we couldn't even twitch without the same thing hearing us. At some point, no sound. Not a step, not a breath, not a tap. I didn't trust it. Silence felt heavier than the noise. I waited for a handprint to sink the fabric down, for teeth to tear the zipper open. Nothing. Just that thick, dead quiet. We didn't sleep. Not even micro-naps. Our bodies tried. You could feel that weird fuzzy edge where your brain starts to slide, but adrenaline yanked us back up. I watched the gray slowly bleed through the tent, hated every second, because daylight meant we'd have to open the door and find out if anything waited. At first light, the site looked untouched. No prints, no rocks near the tent, just one new thing. 3 little bundles of sticks stacked by the fire ring, all tied with my brand of paracord. They weren't random. Each bundle was about the length of my hand. Sticks trimmed clean, ends lined up like someone with a lot of time and too much patience had sat there while we shook in our bags. The knots were neat, better than I tied them. One bundle had a short piece of cord gnawed through, little frayed, ends that hadn't been there when I packed that rope. My brother tried to joke, said it was some Blair Witch bullshit, but his voice cracked on the last word. He wouldn't touch them. I didn't either. It felt like picking them up would be the same as answering a question we didn't want to be asked. We packed in record time. No breakfast, no coffee, just tearing down camp with clumsy, cold fingers. My brother kept glancing at the tree line, the exact strip of shadow where the rocks had come from. I kept my eyes on the ground. The whole time, this pressure sat between my shoulder blades like a stare with weight. I knew if I looked up, I'd see nothing, or I'd see something and never walk back out. So I didn't. Whatever that was, it watched us pack. I didn't look at the trees. I felt them look back. The abandoned campsite sat 2 loops past the last full sign. Fire ring half full of ash, 2 folding chairs, 1 tent still up at the door, hanging open like a ripped mouth. No car, no people. You know that way a place can feel empty, but also like you've just missed something by 30 seconds? That's what it felt like. Like whoever was there had just stepped out of frame, and somehow the air hadn't caught up yet. The gravel under our tires sounded way too loud when we pulled in. My girlfriend laughed and said something about score, free gear, and I laughed too, but it came out thin. I kept checking my mirrors, expecting headlights, another car claiming the site, someone waving us off like, hey, that's ours, back the fuck off. Nothing. Just our engine and that hanging tent flap breathing in the breeze like it wanted to say something. We joked about free gear and pulled in anyway because it was late and every other pad had kids running around and drunk music. We'd been circling that loop for 20 minutes, arguing, sweating, low on gas, and every full sign felt like it flicked us on the forehead. By the time we saw the open pad, we were past caring if it was sketchy. This one just had a cold lantern on the picnic table and an untouched frying pan with congealed eggs. Gross, but not horror movie gross. The eggs looked like someone had walked away mid-bite. Fork still on the table, edge smeared. Coffee mug with a ring drying inside it. Little domestic ghost shit. I kept waiting for a voice. Oh hey, we just ran down to the lake. Something normal to explain why dinner sat there like a still life. Crickets kept going, normal, but under it all the site felt paused. Like it was holding its breath with us. Inside the tent, we found sleeping bags still zipped. A paperback face down, glasses folded on top. Nobody leaves their glasses. I don't even sleep without mine within reach. These were nice ones too, not cheap gas station frames. I reached toward them, then pulled my hand back because suddenly it felt rude, like touching someone's toothbrush. My girlfriend called out in case someone was in the woods pooping or whatever. Silence. No embarrassed cough, no hold on, nothing. Just this weird, thick quiet that made her joke die halfway out her mouth. That's when the whole thing stopped being funny. The longer we stood there, the more wrong details I noticed. The zipper on the tent door snagged halfway down like someone yanked it hard, then stopped. A shoe under the folding chair, just one, heel worn down, pointed toward the fire ring. The fire ring itself had that pattern you get when someone stirs coals with a stick and then just drops the stick and walks away. We argued hard about staying. I said call the ranger. She said we'd look dramatic. We were already tired and pissed at each other from the drive, and this turned into a proxy fight about everything else. Money, time off, whose idea this whole weekend was. I said, people don't just abandon a whole site like this. She said, they do when they're rich or stupid, who cares? And kicked one of the chairs like that proved something. While we bickered, something thumped inside the plastic bear box at the edge of the site. Metal on metal, slow, like a fist with no bones. We both shut up at the same time. I remember the sound more than anything. Not like a raccoon scrambling, not that frantic scratch. It was measured. One dull hit, then another dragging like something heavy shifted and bumped the wall. She whispered, probably just their cooler sliding, but her eyes were on me, not the box, like she needed me to believe it so she could too. I didn't. I walked over, fingers already sweaty on the latch. The lock hung open. Whoever left hadn't even bothered to close it. There was a smear on the edge, dark, too thick to be dirt, but my brain refused to name it. The campground had those friendly little posters about proper food storage, cartoon bears, and fines. Whoever used this box ignored all of that. I lifted the lid a crack. Warm, rotten air puffed out, thick with meat. Not spoiled food. Wrong. I've smelled bad coolers. This wasn't that. This had that sweet, heavy edge that hits the back of your throat and tells some old part of your brain. Dead thing. Stay away. It rolled over my face like a physical thing. I saw, in that little crack of light, shapes in plastic, dark and slick, and not the right color for steaks or hot dogs. Something pale between them, rounded. My brain tried to catalog it. Maybe a turkey, maybe a ham, because the other option would mean I should slam it shut and call 911. I dropped it and stepped back so fast I tripped. My elbow hit the dirt. That woke up the whole forest. Twigs snapped just beyond the tree line, too many at once, like several people stood at the exact edge of the site and shifted in unison. No talking, just that rustle of clothes, weight, intent. It felt like standing under a balcony while people leaned over the rail, watching. I couldn't see anyone, just dark trunks and shadow and that strip of ground where the gravel ended and the pine needles began, like a border. Nothing crossed it, but the sound pressed right up to it. My girlfriend hissed my name, and I could hear her digging in the car for the keys, hands shaking hard enough to set off little beeps. I didn't get up right away. I just sat there on my ass in the dirt, heart hammering, staring at that line of trees like if I blinked something would finally step out. A part of me kept waiting for a ranger to appear, or some drunk asshole to laugh and say, "Got you. Prank over." Nobody came. The snapping stopped all at once, like they'd agreed on a cue. That silence was worse than the noise. It felt like whoever, or whatever, was out there had just decided something about us. We grabbed our keys and bolted, left the tent, chairs, all of it. She yelled at me to move, and I finally scrambled up, arm throbbing, and we started hurling crap out of the car just to make room to turn around faster. Cooler, tarp, half a box of groceries, just chucked them into the gravel. We both knew we weren't staying. The argument about it died the second that smell hit. On the way out, we flagged down the camp host and babbled something about abandoned site, bad smell. My voice kept tripping over the word smell because I wanted to say body and couldn't make my mouth do it. She kept talking over me, like if she filled the space we wouldn't have to describe what we'd seen or almost seen. He sighed like we were the 10th complaint and said, "They checked out this morning." The way he said they made my skin crawl. Too casual, like he'd rehearsed it. They checked out this morning, like he'd been saying that all day. They checked out this morning, like a line on a form he had to repeat until he believed it. But there's stuff, he cut me off. Happens. People forget things. His eyes didn't match his tone. They tracked the road behind us, like he expected someone to follow. He did not ask which site. He did not ask what the smell was like. He did not ask if we were okay. He just stood there with his little clipboard. This board looked pasted on, but his thumb beat this fast, panicked rhythm against the metal spiral. I noticed he never turned his back to the loop. He backed away from our car instead of stepping aside, like he refused to show his spine to whatever sat in those trees. We drove out of there faster than we should have on that road. Gravel popped under the tires. The whole time I kept checking the rear view, expecting to see headlights or someone running after us. That camp host, the owners of the tent, I don't know. Once, just before the trees closed in, I caught a glimpse of the bear box in the side mirror. The lid was shut. I know I didn't close it. That night, in the motel, we didn't talk about it. We fought about something stupid instead. Takeout, the AC unit rattling, the money we just wasted on the campsite. Every time I tried to bring up the smell or the glasses, my throat locked and the words came out as jokes. Hey, at least we didn't get eaten by a bear, shit like that. She laughed too loudly and changed the subject every time. For days afterward, I kept waiting for a call from some unknown number or cops at the door, or at least an email from the park asking if we'd seen anything. Nothing. It started to feel unreal, like maybe we'd overreacted to some rotten meat and shadows. I almost convinced myself of that. Almost. A month later, I saw a news blurb about remains found near that campground. No names, just two individuals' possible foul play. The picture they used was from the same loop, same curved road, same kind of bear box in the background. My stomach dropped like I'd been thrown off a building. All I could think about were those glasses, folded so neatly, like someone expected to put them back on after a quick break. I didn't send the link to my girlfriend. I didn't bring it up. I just closed my laptop and sat there, listening to the blood pound in my ears, wondering if the camp host already knew, if that's why he wouldn't turn his back to the trees. Sometimes when I can't sleep, I smell that warm, wrong air again, like it's seeping out of my own kitchen cabinets. I still see the bear box in my head, lid lifting, the shapes inside finally clear under daylight. But I never opened it all the way, and I never called anyone back, and now two people are just individuals in a headline. We never went back to pick up our gear.